Hey guys, Checklist here. I want to preface this video by saying that opinions I may put forth are just that, the opinions of myself, as well as that of my pilot and F-14 crews that we fly with on a regular basis, based entirely on the last week of 4 to 5 hour per day play sessions, both in a clean test setting and in live PvP gameplay, where targets react to and execute missile avoidance techniques in creative and unpredictable ways. We are adjusting to the changes as best we can, getting a feel for the new launch envelopes which are now much closer and much more dangerous to execute. On the 2nd of September, which is last Friday, the devs rolled out the latest iteration of changes to the F-14's Phoenix missiles. The Phoenix has undergone several reworks and improvements over the last few years since HeatBlur released the F-14 to us, and not all of them have been favorable or 100% accurate, at least not yet. The current changes to the Phoenix include an updated C model seeker. The patch brought with this seeker an increased resistance to chaff and the ability to go active on its own when track while scan or single target tracks are lost. The C model now has access to both the Mark 47 and the Mark 60 rocket motors. It's important to note that RIO's target size switch will no longer affect how far from the target the C model seeker goes active. The patch also brought changes to the A model seeker, decreasing its resistance to chaff as well as changing how it interacts with guidance from the AUG-9. Now, the A model will only execute a course correction when the radar sweeps across the target and finds a deviation, rather than smoothly updating its guidance in a continuous manner like it did before. Additionally, these Phoenix variants have had their proportional navigation, burn time, impulse, and mass adjusted to better fit information that HeatBlur and Eagle Dynamics have available to them. The exact performance capabilities of the Phoenix are somewhat lost to history, requiring the devs to extrapolate their performance based on US Navy and NASA documentation that remains publicly available. Kinematically, HeatBlur claimed that their current missile is able to hit all of the known benchmarks established by real-world tests. And I believe that their claim is probably accurate, but I also think that these missiles, when fired in non-standard parameters, now perform in ways that they should not. This has nothing to do with the game physics handling of the missiles, but rather the missile's guidance in the terminal phase of their flight to the target. Missiles that seemingly have the energy and maneuverability to track a hot, non-maneuvering target or a gently turning target at a reasonable range and altitude just flat out miss for reasons that we cannot explain. There are TAC views of missiles lofting and descending behind their target, approaching them from the rear and almost dogfighting with them before going dead. Others have the target climb a few thousand feet while the missile is lofting, and the Phoenix's loft carries it past the 90-degree vertical and going dumb miles behind the launching aircraft and traveling in the complete opposite direction. To add to the above problems and problems like them, firing a Phoenix in pulse Doppler single target track at 25 miles or more means that the missile will now loft, but not to the degree that a track while scan launch will loft. Loft or not, the difference in time to impact between a Phoenix and a Sparrow launched at 20 to 30 miles is now only about 1 to 3 seconds, and the Sparrow doesn't miss as often as the Phoenix. The semi-active radar homing behavior with the C-Seeker also seems like a bit of a hack job, which HeatBlur have admitted was a coding limitation that requires the Seeker to be in an active state from launch to impact and will remain active if the launching aircraft's lock is broken. This means that for better or worse, the missile will latch onto the first thing it sees when the track is lost. I don't fault HeatBlur for this. It seems like they integrated this as best they could with the spaghetti code they had to work with. Alright, that's the end of the rant. Now, how do the changes affect the tactics you will use as well as the tactics your enemy will use to defeat them? For starters, overall Phoenix engagement ranges just got a lot shorter. Your launch altitude, speed, and target speed are more important than ever. Using the C-Seeker, you can now break off a track if you're put defensive without potentially wasting the missile. Hip shots with short-range track while scans against hot targets are now possible without relying entirely on the ACM or Phoenix active switches. Longer-range TWS shots are still possible, but as I said before, the target size switch will no longer affect when the Seeker goes active on the C model Phoenix. Your enemies will also adjust the way they approach your F-14. Already, the good pilots we've fought will zoom climb to loft their missiles and then immediately perform a split S and go cold. They are forced to respect the Fox 3 fight rather than relying on you breaking your track to go defensive, and you'll find that F-16s are particularly hard to kill with the Phoenix due to their raw speed. Whether offensive or defensive, pay attention to how the engagement meta develops in the coming weeks. You can only pick up so much from a video or from patch notes. You will need to go out there into the virtual world and see how these missiles perform for yourself. That's all I have for today. Good luck and good hunting. Checklist out.